Did you know it takes the identity theft victim an average of 7 months before they realize that their identity has been compromised? When I talk to people about identity theft protection, the first question isn't, what do I do if my identity is stolen, but how do I check if someone's been using my identity? It's a smart question because catching unauthorized users of your identity can save you months or even years of headache. Today, I'll show you exactly how to go about finding out if someone's been using your identity. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to secure your identity, spot early warning signs, and most importantly, gain peace of mind about your personal information. Let's start with the most reliable method, your credit report. It shows every account opened in your name, it shows that loans that you have applied for, and it shows the businesses that have checked your credit before. It's important to note that you do get one free credit report with every bureau through annualcreditreport.com. Now that you've gotten your credit report, how do I read this, or how do I go about this as effectively as I possibly can? First, let's go to the personal information section. Through here, you can check for variations in your name that you've never used, perhaps spellings that you've never done before, or addresses that you've never lived in, or for places that you've worked that you've actually never worked for. Next, we jump over to the account section. You should know every account that's listed in this section. So any account that has your name on it or that you've opened, you should be pretty familiar with it. When someone takes your identity, they will open up accounts quickly and in clusters. So a big red flag would be a bunch of accounts opened around the same time or in the same time frame that you don't recognize. Now lastly, you can check the inquiry section. With this, there are two things to note about it. There are hard and soft inquiries that can happen. The soft inquiries are background checks, pre-approved offers that we all love to get in the mail, or hard inquiries. Now this is the important part. These are when you're trying to open a line of credit or a loan. So when you see a hard inquiry on your credit report that you do not recognize, that means it's time to take action. I know in the beginning I've mentioned the 3 credit bureau reports that you're allowed for free on annualcreditreport.com. Let's talk about those credit bureaus and making an account within each credit bureau and why it's important. Now, the red flag to note here is, well, I go to make an account and someone's already done it for me, or I keep getting errors because there's already an account in my name. This is a clear sign that identity theft is in the works. Now, creating these accounts gives you 2 things. 1, it prevents someone else from creating an account on your behalf, which you don't want. And 2, it gives you direct access to freeze and unfreeze your credit so that it reduces the chances of your identity from being taken. Each bureau's website does look a little different, but they're all pretty straightforward, and you'll need basic personal identifying information like your social security number and your home address and some other basic information that they might ask. Log on to ssa.gov and check your work history. Now, everything that has to do with your social security number, you can access here, including previous employers and your total earnings. Now, how you can use this to verify that everything matches up and that your identity is not actively being taken, well, if you spot certain areas that you've never worked in that are using your social security number, or if your total income earnings is a lot higher than what you are currently earning, that's a huge red flag. Now onto another component that's really important, your personal accounts, meaning your credit card accounts or your banking accounts. Here's how you can easily do it. Combing through your bank records or your credit card statements meticulously can be important. Identity thieves do this so that they can start small and make sure that you're unnoticing. What they're trying to do here is making sure that the cards that they've stolen are active and that they can take greater funds. So the test purchase is just the beginning. So it's good to make sure that you know your bank records or your credit card records so that you can get ahead or react as early as possible to these fraudulent charges. Something you can do is Google your name or your address. An important note is to put these things in quotation marks. And why that is important is so that you're commanding Google to look for places or websites that have your name in that order or that phrase in that order. So it gives you a little bit more of a honing situation to find out what websites are using your name or your information. Where that gets important is with data brokers. Data brokers scrape the internet to try to find your information and sell it. For thieves, this is a gold mine because it'll contain your full name, your address, your phone number, and in some instances, it'll contain your income range as well. While you can request to have your information taken down from these data broker sites, I will say, based on personal experience, it is a headache. It is just so time consuming. And I mean, unless you have that kind of free time, which not many of us probably do, just opt in for a data broker removal service. Now, a good service to use would be one like Optory. The important thing is not only do they do an initial deep scan, but they will keep scanning to make sure that any new data broker sites that pop up and use your name, they immediately act on your behalf and submit takedown requests. Lastly, let's talk about putting all these pieces together. What does that look like? I've talked about different components and different things you could do to keep your identity safe. Now, what would a typical schedule look like? You have weekly, monthly, and quarterly style checks that you can do. You can check for unknown login attempts, quarterly checks, you're looking at your social security and more revolving credit reports from different bureaus just so that you can stagger them. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, it's pretty much a full-time job to stay on top of this and make sure that your identity hasn't been stolen. But guess what? I have a better answer and something that could do the work for you, and that's Aura. And why this is important is, although you can DIY it, there's so much to do or so much you could be doing that it could leave potential gaps in your identity being secure. With Aura, they take a comprehensive approach to make sure that your identity is safe. First, it provides real-time credit reports and feedback. So it doesn't check monthly, it doesn't check quarterly, it checks all the time. Just to give you a quick example, the other day we were trying to upgrade our internet. The internet provider stopped by. I had frozen my credit with TransUnion. They asked me to unfreeze it. I unfroze it. Before that salesman left, Aura had already sent me an alert that someone with this internet provider had checked my credit report, and if that was me, yes or no, that's how quickly it was. The other important thing to note with Aura is that it does monitor the dark web. Why this is important is because with any data breach, the dark web is usually where your data leaks into. And so Aura will notify you of these leaks. I mean, I can remember when I first logged on to Aura and did a scan. I mean, one of those data points went all the way back to 2013. I don't even remember what I was doing back then, but apparently my information knew, which was leaking itself somewhere. While the manual monitoring process can work, I will say that Aura automates the entire process while adding additional features that will help keep your identity safe. Now, Aura does have a competitive price, but if you check out the link in the description below, you can even add more savings, so be sure to check that out. Remember, checking to see if someone's using your identity isn't a one-time task. Whether you choose to do it manually or to go with an automated service like Aura, the key is regular verification. If you're ready to take over securing your identity, give us a thumbs up and share it with somebody that you know would benefit from watching something like this. And again, and as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.